But without further ado, let's get on to the fundamental analysis. So, oh, okay, let's refresh that kind of. All right, so for today, we are starting the market out with extreme fear. Um, we've experienced a 3 point drop from yesterday, which is interesting because uh, so today is Wednesday. So Monday, we started off with 16, Tuesday 16, and now Wednesday 13. So the volatility from Monday to Tuesday didn't really change the market, despite moving up 5,000. But then when we drop 5,000, suddenly it is more meaningful. Hey, thanks you, Hector. Good morning to you, I believe. Um, thank you, thank you. Uh, Although I don't know if, anyways, um, so yeah, we are 13 extreme fear. We've gotten the last time we were at this level was back in November, so post October, the October crash, or is that November crash? Honestly, I've forgotten the months now, but yeah. So we know that from that point in time, we got as high as 98k, and we dropped to about this level as well. Actually, no, we dropped more. Yeah, we dropped more. So we could be looking at a lower high eventually, but we'll get to the TA for that. Now, if we go to the leverage map, liquidation leverage map, uh, one day has a lot of imbalance to the upside, but notice that price action is still near our clusters. So yesterday, I did say we could drop as low as about 76k, but at least from what we're seeing now, in terms of the liquidation leverage, we're looking at potentially back down to 71k, which is a drop from I think January, or was it February of 2025, right? Because we reached our first all-time high when Bitcoin broke a 100k in December of 2024. Then we dropped to about 71 last year. So it looks like we could be doing something like that again, revisiting that line of support, seeing if it will stand. But I have been on record saying we could go as low as 69k. So if we go here, we can see that there's not enough clusters of liquidity on the 7 day down at 69k. But we are getting a lot of clusters as people are now trying to leverage buy the dip. That's a little dangerous, but I mean, I am in drawdown, so I don't know if I can if I can say it's a little dangerous. But my strategy means that I'm not really risking too much. So right now, in terms of my portfolio across three positions, I'm only down about 6% of my entire portfolio, which is why I'm probably not as worried. I'm still pretty chippy. Uh, Not ideal, but chippy. Uh, Looking at the 30 days, so the 1 month, we can see that the real incentive is to go to the upside. That is where the real, uh, that is where liquidity lies. It's all to the upside. There's really nothing left going to the downside unless retail keeps, or traders like us keep trying to buy the dip with leverage. Going to the 90 days, same thing. We're looking at almost 13 billion cumulative short liquidations. 180 day, we're looking at 17 billion, and it extends all the way to 100k. And 1 year, there's really nothing left. According to the 1 year, you could go down as low as 69k. So it's really a question of how long can we sustain this drawdown. But it's also a good opportunity to DCA into spot bags or into low leverage positions. Or if you're doing my strategy, just putting 1% every so often, and then, or 0.5% every so often, and then just keep on DCAing until you get back to about 100k. So that's it for your liquidation leverage. Let's go to the 12-hour RSI heat map. And again, we've been punched down to oversold. We can see BTC, Ethereum, Solana, Uni, DOT, XLM, LTC, all of our pretty major coins are down in the dumps and oversold. There are some uh, that are sort of doing pretty well. I mean, you have Kite, but genuinely, what even is that? right? uh, so yeah, looks like the market's pretty weak at the moment. Um, and regardless of the time frame you go to, even to the 1 hour, you are starting to head to oversold. 4 hour, you are already in the week, so it's not looking that great. But the more oversold you are, the more likely you are to get some relief back to the upside. Looking at our liquidation heat map, which tells us where the major liquidity hotspots are, we have a hotspot about 77k on the 24 hour. And again, regardless of which time frame we're at, the it what's true is that there's just a massive imbalance to the upside, right? I kind of skipped 48 hour there, but 77 as well on the 3 day, 77 on the 2 day. Uh, let's go to the 1 week. 1 week saying we go to 84, 85, and again, a thing or something that I mentioned in my analysis is that the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay liquid. So we're going to keep on trying to destroy these guys. And the reason I haven't been going short at this time is because we are so oversold that the only thing I know is that a market maker is going to take the chance that every single retail now believes that we're oversold and then suddenly do a volatile move to the upside. It happened, I believe, yesterday, and then it quickly just killed back to the downside. So really, they're really just chopping us at the moment, and any move we make is going to be either canceled or it could be the real deal. So I am a little bit more risk off, which is why I have been sending a little less signals and more analysis. But with that being said, it does look like we could be heading even lower according to our liquidation leverage liquidation maps, potentially down to 69k, which is kind of the last major liquidity leverage node here. But you can see that once you get here, there's really nothing left. I mean, all of the major nodes are to the upside. Even just going to 76k, you're taking out a lot of highly leveraged traders. Going up to 92k, and you take out a whole bunch of them, and you make 10.69 billion dollars in doing so. Just a big volatile move to the upside would give market makers $10 billion. Let me just see who is here. Hey, little fish. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. Actually, aren't you kind of early, little fish? But you know what? Thank you for dropping by. And then I'm sorry your name's truncated, but uh the user with the bunny profile picture. Welcome to the show. I'm Langestrom, and yeah, we're just looking at the fundamentals of crypto. So now let's go ahead and look at some of our technicals because that's the exciting part. So what I always like to do is to sort of get a macro feel for everything first. So let's look at what's going on. Okay, so 1 week, we looked at this at the start. Let me remove the drawing so it's a little bit more clear for us. Elliott wave projections now put 72k, right, as the bounce, which is interesting because earlier we were saying that there were sort of that big nodes at 72k on the leverage side, but you can also see that the 618 is at 69k. So if we are going to DCA, 69k might be the ideal place. It's great based on the 1 week fib, and it's great based on the leverage, and theoretically this should start heading down completely by 69k. What I will say is, despite this move to the downside, notice that the trend strength on the 1 week isn't that significant, right? Had it been significant, I'd be more terrified and say, okay, maybe we drop down to 50k or 52k. But we're almost fully exhausted on your MVP ribbon, and we're reaching a point where your MVP ribbon has just fully bottomed out completely, right? We're nearing that point. And the last time this happened, we did drop a little lower, But that sort of followed this next huge exponential move to the upside. So when it started transitioning around here, we still experienced some drawdown of about 38%, but then after that, we had a 395% move to the upside. So, does that mean history is going to repeat itself? Not necessarily. We have the best indicators in the world, pair of chart prime, but that doesn't necessarily mean that because this has happened, it's going to happen again. That's just not how analysis works. But we haven't closed yet below this liquidity block, below that low we made in April. Oh, it's April. Huh. Oh, okay, it's April. My bad, not February. So, what? What is that photo? Okay, okay. um, I can try to speak like Trump while doing this. Precisely the point. Tariffs, good tariffs. We need to put tariffs on every single country because the US of A is getting a bad deal on these products. Yeah. Yeah, that was the tariff crash. Okay, sorry. But yeah, so we are actually below that, which is fascinating. Like we essentially any person who was able to buy this dip and put their stop loss right here has now just been stopped out, right? And for me, at least from a maker's perspective, that tells me that we've basically got everything we want. Maybe we can head up, right? Something that it's a little bit of copium again, but the fact that we're still in an ascending channel, but there hasn't been any like target yet. There probably will be at the end of this. Like this will just say like low volume or high volume, right? But I do. How do I say this? It doesn't look great. And again, we have downside targets, but at the same time, this didn't look great at the time either, right? Typically, when you do get a structure like this, where double top, almost looks like a head and shoulders. When it's sort of a nice shoulder or with a nice flat break line, what ends up happening? Oh my goodness, the thing's appeared. Uh, okay, I'll just try not to draw and just use my cursor. Essentially, when you get to this point, right, you do drop a little bit, but oftentimes when you have a nice, almost picturesque head and shoulders, you build support somewhere here, right? It usually finds some kind of support. Now, if the head and shoulders were like following this ascending channel, then of course the move would be more violent because then you have higher lows, but then you broke and you had a lower high. But here we have sort of equal lows happening, right? So we got a clear neckline and then we broke below it right here, and now we're basically just chilling around that neckline. I If this truly was a big dump, you'd have a greater volatility to the downside, I feel. But, only time will tell. Let's look at our lower time frames. So we have our 5 minutes, 1 hour. We went as low as 73K. And hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Okay, whew. Sorry. Either way, we retest previous low high and go up or down. Exactly. Okay, let me sneeze again. I don't know why I'm sneezing though. Oh, maybe I just need to drink some water. But in any case, let's try to zoom out, like macro, like higher time frame, but not too high. So like 4 hour, 15 minutes. And let's see what we are looking at here. Okay, no, that's 30. Okay, 15. Then let's hide this. Okay. Then, I mean, it's not fantastic, right? It really does think you are in a descending wedge of some kind, but, it's really, we're just in maximum pain. And despite the fact that we've just been getting bullish divs, divergences, reversals, oversolds, it's just not sort of enough. But when you look at it liquidity wise, it's so irrational. And I mean, it's really just proof of sort of that kind of manipulated market. But at least we know it's manipulated, which kind of sounds bad. Like, yeah, we know it's manipulated, and there's nothing we can do about it. But the only thing we can do about it is just trade smart. So looking at our 15 minutes, we are oversold, but because of this candle that wick off the FVG, we could possibly go back down to 73k within the next 6 minutes. Excuse me, for market open. But with our excuse me, I have no clue what's happening right now. Hold on, I'll just drink another volume of water. I should be okay. I mean, not only is my ear infection gone, and not only am I no longer partially deaf, but I feel pretty good. So I don't know what's happening. But in any case, we are losing bearish trend strength. Our fluid zero line is heading down even more. And, you know, it's really hard to say if we go down tonight, if we go down tomorrow, if we go down the day after, if there's a weekend dump. But what is true is 69k is in the cards, 72k is also in the cards, and going up is also in the cards. It's not necessarily out of the cards just yet. Let's look at Ethereum. So Ethereum kind of failed that descending channel and just fell out, came back in. And then if you extend this, right, now it's just back in the descending channel. I mean, that's not how descending channels work. But the point is volatility, go back in, same trend line, get back out, fail, get back in. So it's now keeping this downtrend intact, and the 4 hours not looking stellar. It looks like you could continue back to the downside. I think the same story is happening with Solana. Let's go down to the 4 hour. So same story with Solana, right? Granted, Solana is finding some kind of bottom on the CPO plus, and the MVP ribbon might push us down further to maybe like 92, but you do have upside targets of about 102, and like everything else, the lower time frame is indicating some kind of oversold. Oh man, for those who weren't here yesterday or at least missed that part, when I was when I was showing Solana one day, like I just clicked it randomly. I was showing like a negative 76 measure move for Solana. I don't even know how that's possible, but it is what it is. Hey, stock scalping samurai. You know, I think I think your new profile picture matches your name a lot better. Wasn't the last one more like a medieval knight? Hello, hello. But yeah, I guess I guess we get a negative 70 Solana. Right. I don't even know how that works. How can you buy something that's negative? Aren't you just selling at that point? You're very welcome. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Like, what even is this? But yeah, I guess, I guess we can put on an exchange and be like, okay, I'll long Solana at negative 75, if that's even possible. Okay, BNB. So this is what we projected yesterday, and thank goodness I didn't say take that long because it's not working out that well. But with that said, you do have a measured move down at 732, and that is your 1 day discount zone. So if you put that here, you have a good chance of probably making it out. You can do something like a tight stop to ensure that tighter stop to ensure that you do a little bit better, right? You don't lose too much, but this does look like it could be something. And it's been a while since I called a trade in the live, so I would really like to call a trade soon. If I look at the volume blocks though, yeah, this area looks pretty good. So, um, when you have um, low volume, so low orders and low deficit, excuse me, market makers like to hang out here because it's then really easy to push price to the other side. And you can see that the last time BNB sort of fell, we had that low volume, low deficit over here, right around this area. So it'd be an interesting region to take along, but have to line it a lot better. So something like over here makes a lot more sense. Yeah, and then stop loss below that. But we'll have to see what happens. Going back to BTC, so up reversal. Oh, okay, it's market open. Let's just watch the fireworks while we're here. Hey Dimitar, welcome. You're just in time for market open. Yeah, that's that's great. So while we're watching that, just a quick summary of what happened and or what we saw fundamentally. We're in extreme fear 13, really low. Uh, your 7 day says that you can go as low as like 70K. And you have a very big cluster at around the current price to about 73,000. So that corroborates the idea that we could go as low as 69K, like I mentioned in my last market update. That said, all of the liquidity is to the top side. All of the major leverage nodes, or if you want to kill leverage players, it's all to the upside. And there, it goes up uh, as high as 98K in terms of like the really significant ones. So just pushing to 98K would would really get market makers a ton of money. We're talking about $14 billion. Uh, and then from a 1 year perspective, there's really nothing left. There is like one last major node at 69,000 for leverage, but then going to the upside to about 101 will give market makers $19 billion. So if they can do this in such a very quick motion, then you are going to get that amount of money because people won't be able to stop. Uh, Looking at our heat maps, and I will just take us just very quickly away from the charts so we can look at the heat map. You know, at least in the immediate term, 12-hour to 3 day, the target hotspot is at 76K. Moving to the 1 month, I believe, puts us at about 96K, with a major one at 84K. And then going into the 3 months, so we're looking at a time frame of up to June for potentially up until June or even July, we're looking at 98K. And then from a year perspective, I don't think a hotspot has necessarily formed just yet. That said, if you raise the threshold, or actually, if you lower the threshold, your hotspot does put you back at 126k, and you have some at 94 and 98k right here. But you can see that there's really nothing left. I mean, going down to 60,000, you're only going to be capable of liquidating $3 million, which isn't a lot. But if you go up, you'll be able to liquidate over. Oh no, sorry. If you go down, you'll only be able to liquidate about $800 million. But then if you go up, you'll be able to liquidate 13 billion. So genuinely, there's really nothing left. Like even just a small move to the upside, right, back to 80k will liquidate more than you can if you go down to 60k. So it's a question of, do I want to drop price by 14,000 and get 800 million, or do I just want to raise price by about 6,000, so less travel, and then get over 900 million? It's a no-brainer, but you want to crush as much hope as you can get. So if I go back to the charts, you can see that they're really just crushing hope, right? It's really just maximum pain. Right? This is just hope crushing. You don't want to be here. Right, 74k. We're basically back at the lows of the tariff crash. But we still have 30 minutes on the hour, so we'll see how the 30 minutes close. But 5 minutes looks disgusting. It basically engulf 20 minutes of 20 minutes of hard work right there. On that topic though, gold's kind of doing something that BTC did recently. So if we look here, right, or actually no, this 4 hour is probably more accurate. You can see we made like a V, and then we started this kind of, I don't know how best to describe this shape. It's like it's like how you draw birds in a painting, like that. Um, and it's kind of doing something similar, right? And right now you are overbought here, so I don't know if it makes sense to short gold again. Let's look at the higher time frame and do multi-time frame analysis. From a 1 day perspective, probably not, right? Probably doesn't make sense to short gold on a 1 day perspective. And you have targets going over to about 5684 and 6458. So probably not the ideal time to short gold. But if it does retest, I mean, it's also here in between our reactors, so I don't want to do that. But I do want to see if it retests our reactors at 4938, and then what it does if it breaks below, and then I kind of want to see if it breaks above it. So I'm just setting alerts on gold. And I do think that this extension does make sense if gold is really going to be a thing. Caw, caw. Eagle. That's true. That's true. That America. Yeah. God bless America. And I can say that because my dad's an American. Well, he passed away, but oh, disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Look at that. Disgusting. Oh man. It's been doing. See, it did this like a couple. It did this yesterday, right? Like, yeah. Let me drop. Let me drop a bomb on these guys, right? Fuck them, then. Duh. Right? Disgusting. And now it's doing the same thing. It's just the MO at this point. Yep, market's open. And then look at that. Now they're taking their profits, and then yeah. Actually, speaking of American, oh wait, I want to show you guys something. Let me just quickly grab it. All right, let me turn on my camera again. Sorry about your dad. I know. Yeah. Actually, so um, the reason I sort of became or wanted to become even more proficient with trading is because uh, I sort of wanted to support myself rather than relying on my mom and my sis, because my sis is studying law, and I'm gonna study law soon. Uh, and then my mom's the only one working. So, but when you come into trading, it's really just you kind of forget that because you want to be robotic. You want to try to be as objective as possible because quite frankly, because we're human, we can't be 100% objective, right? The charts are in a downtrend, but here I am being okay. Uh, counter cyclicality, blah 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 blah. Trying to trade like a bank, so I'm buying the dip, DCAing. So is that rational? Yes, but am I possibly deluding myself? Also yes, right? But yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, two short scalps in a row this morning. I think I'm done for the day. Congratulations. Can you check Baba Alibaba stock? Absolutely. Yeah, sorry. Spaced out a little bit, but let me pull out Baba for you. Baba Alibaba. Do you want NYSE or like which one do you trade? Really? Ah, that little shite. Okay. Good thing this is not made for kids on YouTube, so when we post this later, it's not going to be a problem. Ooh, that's a gap right there. uh, well, Dimitar, it looks like it's in a downtrend, and uh, from a trend, honestly, this is one of the like clear trend following strategies, or one of the clearest times I would take a short. We got that double top, lower high, right? You made a higher low, right? You made a higher low, but then you made a lower high, higher high, but then now you're back over here. So potentially you could be in a triangle, right? But then I don't want to think that we are. Okay. Let's let's play devil's advocate and let's just draw a parallel channel, see if it works. I mean, kind of it could be in a descending channel, right? But a ascending channel in and of itself is technically a downtrend. Uh, I will say your CPO plus does look like it wants to go down. Your fluid zero line is also a little bit up here, so you could go down. So I would take a short. Personally, I would take a short, but then I'd probably take profits at the 1 day dynamic reactor. So right now, your 15 minutes is trying to get up. So I would wait and see if it gets back to 164 and then take a short down to the dynamic reactor. So this is just going to be a very, very quick, not too quick, maybe like a 2 day, 3 day swing into the weekend and then take profits. No, not the, that's what she said. Okay, but yeah, hold on. You also wanted to look at the 12 hours, so let's do that. Also, yeah, thank you. Thank you about that. So 12 hour, kind of the same story, um, but let's look at the 1 week because I think we can get something a little bit more meaningful out of the 1 week. So yeah, it's what I was saying here that it does look like it does look like it's gonna drop a little more, but you know, because we drew that descending channel, kind of informs the idea that okay, we could head up. What I do see potentially happening is maybe like a double bottom on your MVP ribbon, and then you could head up like this, right? Traditional projection drawing to about 255. Could be something. So, yeah, if you want to trade this right now, I would frame some shorts and then potentially look for longs when you get down to your dynamic reactor on the 1 day or about 147 or 148 on the 1 week. Yeah. And don't, Dimitar, I'll be here for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Actually, no, be here for 2 hours. Started at 10:07 my time, so we're ending at 12:10 my time for obvious reasons because my PC just not cooperating. But yeah, let's go back to BTC. All right, so we ended up with a wick. We engulfed the candle that engulfed our work, and now we're doing stuff. You're very welcome. Yeah, let's see who else is here. It looks like we got my regulars. Oh yeah, the thing I got. So, as you guys know, well, actually not. I don't think everyone knows, but I'm really into EDC. So at least here in the Philippines, stuff like knife laws are super lax. And one thing I want to also do is to try to get like a first responder license, so I can legitimately say that I'm a first responder. So that's why I carry a knife with me. But right now, I just carry a knife with me because, as a student in an organization that deals with theater, we need to like process stuff for set and open a bunch of stuff. So that's why I have a knife. I have all the weapons. Group question: what is the market sentiment on BTC right now? There's crazy emails about everything this past week. I mean, it's an extreme fear. Fear and Greed Index says extreme fear. Everyone wants it to go down to 50. Yeah. Yep. Daga kind of sums it up. I have all nice. I'm gonna learn to shoot probably next year, but I'm going to get myself buy myself a gun first. Yeah. I love how this is gonna go on YouTube, and I just, it's not made for kids, and disclaimer: not promoting violence. This is just a healthy discussion on things that we like, apart from trading and cryptocurrency, which we're doing live. Yeah, look at that. That is disgusting. Market open right there. Let's look at the 15 minutes because I kind of want to see how that 15-minute closed. It's probably going to be the ugliest wick to the downside. Oh no, it's a doji. No, not a doji. It's an indecision candle. Yeah, right there. Big indecision candle. But yeah, speaking of that, yeah, my EDC knife is a Kershaw, so I love it 100%. Well, maybe not 100%, but mostly American made. So yeah, when I use this, I channel the American in me, just like America. Yeah. Nunchucks, punch knuckles, pepper spray. Oh yeah. I I'm proficient. Well, I'm a brown belt in karate. Then I had like 3 years of Muay Thai. I'm currently trying to get into JJJ. Uh, and then I also have some good knowledge on judo, so I can throw someone. But yeah, uh, martial arts, very important. And then you supplement it with your tools, and it really gets good. Although I'm not really a pepper spray fan because of the fact that if there's wind, it could go to you, and that kind of jeopardizes stuff. And then if you're wrong, that's battery. So I use a flashlight, which then ends up being like a Kubaton and a tool at the same time. So yeah. Okay, I should probably pause on the EDC stuff. before we get too carried away, and YouTube flags the video. Yeah, absolutely. Getting to the gym or to the dojo, and then putting your mind to it. Because, for example, in sparring, it's not necessarily about strength. It's about discipline, trying to look for those minute details, and then reacting or choosing to act based on those things rather than reacting. But yeah, right now though, 15 minutes looks disgusting. Ideally, we want to close above the wick here, right? But if we can't, then that might not be fascinating. There are too many lines, so I'm gonna remove the drawings for now. But yeah. Okay. Da, 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 da. Oh man. uh, no. I mean, you could just do the Power Rangers. Don't they have like Ninja Storm and Samurai? Oh my god. Yeah, actually, I just have a replica katana just chilling here. Just, yeah, very fun. Okay, just leave that there. Okay. Da, da. Let's go down to the lower time frames. Yeah, no, that's just taking a walk at this point. Massively oversold, but nothing we can do. You ask Grok to make something like that? Thank you. Yeah, I do think 69K is in the cards. Really does seem like that's where we want to go. Very auspicious number, if you ask me. Um, but yeah, yeah. What I like about J Bravo is, or like the Bravo indicators, is just the support resistance levels as well as the chick magnet, which I find more as like a take profit target than it is like a magnet where price wants to go, because obviously this has been over here the whole time and yet we're still headed down. That's, of course, no indicator is perfect, but for me it's more of a take profit target. Uh, Although it is designed to be a magnet, so price wants to go there eventually, right? So for me, I just treat that as take profit target. And then I like chart prime indicators because that's just what I was about to say grew up on, but then that's just what I'm more comfortable with and what I really learned. You think 63? That'd be fun if we go 63. Like a 921 price, cross price. Really? Interesting. Yeah, this is pretty bearish. I mean, it's triple top. All right, one, two, three. So even if you like draw the trend like this, the fact of the matter is, it's gonna go down. Then if we go to the 4 hour, although something that could potentially happen here, uh, is notice that you are losing bearish trend strength, and so while this could sustain and move to the downside, the moment you really get some level of support or you find a nice consolidation, it's possible that you reverse back to the upside because again, there's almost no incentive left to head to the downside other than um, inducing max pain. Do I use SMC concept? Uh, I mean, yes. Before chart prime, I did mostly do SMC and like ICT concepts. Although I like looking at them more of break of structures, change of characters. I don't really use the other stuff as much because I find that the oscillators are more useful at times. Yeah. And you know, FVGs, love FVGs. They're really good. Yeah. Well, I need to practice. Actually, you know what? This is really cool. Daga. How does Grok just do you just like tweet at Grok make me a Pepe holding red and green candles? Like, is that what your prompt in X? I'm not laughing. Okay, I've never asked I've never asked Grok to generate anything yet, so Pepe the meme coin frog is a ninja with red and green candles as nunchaku. You know, it tried. It really tried. Yeah, it tried. I feel like it made instead of nunchucks, it made it dynamite sticks. Yeah, yeah. It's really it's really difficult though if you have like a chain of prompts because a lot of the times what it ends up happening is that it just appends what you said uh, to what you generated last. So it gets a little bit difficult if your first one or if your first prompt isn't great. Excuse me. No, but I think this is lovely. Thank you. This made my day. But yeah. I see Cruz has joined, and of course French Sailor. Thank you guys for dropping by. I'm Langstrom. And if you guys have any coins or any assets you want me to look at, just let me know, because we still have an hour and 10 minutes on the show, so we got plenty of time. XAUUSD, so gold, yes. So earlier we were saying that we could possibly drop on gold, and this happened right over here. Uh, Notice your CPO plus is headed to the zero line. You are basically bearish on the MVP ribbon, but you could possibly find support by the dynamic reactor. So what I would do, because you know something like our 1 hour is looking fairly bearish, right? I would just wait and see what happens when we get to the reactors. So I treat this as my moving average. I find that it's a little bit more accurate, and then set alerts here and here by the resistances and just wait because we did already hit this FVG. So potentially, if this breaks, you could go back to your 618 or your FVG, and you probably find some support here. But on a more macro scale, uh, of course this happened, but we are possibly looking to go back to our all-time high. Yeah, silver is back in the 90s. Yeah, yeah, very fun. It's really funny how like when it got to this point, people were celebrating like January, like oh my gosh, silver is in the 90s, and then goes up to 120, and then everyone gets sad when it goes back to 75, and then now they're happy that it's back to the 90s. Yeah, although ascending channel on the 15 minutes, so not exactly the greatest thing to see in the world, but it's something. Nice. It is metal garbage, yes. Garbage garbage metals. Let's see who else joined in. Charlie M, welcome to the show. If any of you guys have questions or coins you want me to look at, or any of the indicators, just let me know. But yeah, back to XAU. I would just set alerts around the region of 4,900 to 4,937. See what happens. If we bounce, then we can take a long in line with the 1 day. But then, yeah, it's my first time doing live with you. Oh yeah, I've been doing the live, or at least my segment, since October of last year. So it's always Tuesdays, Wednesdays, 9 a.m. EST, and then on Tuesdays it's 1 hour 30 minutes. For today it's 2 hours, but since I started a little late because my PC was acting up, I'll be here for another 1 hour and 10 minutes. So yeah, although after talking to Alex, we might extend up to Thursdays, but we'll see how that works based on my schedule. Yeah, and you're always welcome to join. Okay, so we did get an alert for, was it Ave or Ave? So let me look. Yeah, so for Dimitar, it looks like the shorts panning out for Alibaba. So just set your alert to 152 if you, and then see what happens. But the 1 week does look like it could go continue to the upside. Right now, it's in a descending channel downtrend, so shorts are pretty decent. Let's see here. Let's look at Ave because we got an alert for it. Oh, I guess this was from a earlier time or way back when. Let's go down to, let's say, 4 hours. 4 hours. Yeah, it doesn't look fantastic either. Yeah, multiple bullish divs, but then, oopsie, that's not what I intended to do. But you look bearish on your candle structure. Which time frame? Oh, so usually I enter like 30 minutes, but my bias is always, of course, on a higher time frame. So, oh, so you're more of a scalper. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Today is overload. Yeah, I do like the strategy that the chart prime's doing right now, where it's at least trying to space us out a little better, but always keeping every day with content of some kind. Yeah. Yeah. So more of a swinger myself. I know the live is called scalping live, but then it's been a little bit hard to scalp crypto at the moment though. So just framing potential swings. Uh, Looking at Ave doesn't really look that great at the moment. You know, you've lost some very key supports right here. That said, from the wick that we had on October, you know, at least traditional theories would say that you want to fill up about anywhere from 70 to 90% of this. So if we have 64%, so then can potentially uh, 50, 56% for 90%. I don't know. Oh, something like that. Right? Is that right? Minus 6. That's like 58%. But in any case, it does look like you could potentially go down to the support line. So, for those who are new here, I like to just leave uh, like projections like this, but then I like to come back to them. So, this is just an idea. It's not like an official trade endorsement, like go hop on this trade. But right now, just an idea because of the fact that, we got a little bit more information now. And to me, this looks fairly decent. It possibly go up here, but let's just wait and see what else the market has in store for us because it is quite sketchy at the moment for longs of any kind. Oh really, JR, like the guy who like hops in before? He has a live? No way. Oh yeah. You can go to my channel uh and everything's laid out so everything from like rationale, uh, take profit, like first TP, and you set your SL to BE, stop loss, entry, all of that, and of course with the picture. So, uh, yeah, actually, I have templates ready. I can like a template ready. So I'm just gonna stop streaming real quick and show you guys like my templates. So just like scalp, scalp template. I just copy this, paste it in, and then fix this. So ready to go bold, long, short, blah blah blah, swing as well. And yeah, that's what I do. Let's go back to the charts because that's the exciting part. Uh, oh, Vamshi, welcome. Thank you for dropping by. Okay. I think. Oh, I think it's because I'm new here. Well, relatively new compared to Runair, Soul, and Nas. So you just have to like add me again. Uh, Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna subscribe to him. So I think you're gonna have to go to like channels and roles, and then you're gonna have to add my channel. You should have access because you have the pro tag. But yeah, let me let me search that up actually. Is he like Suen, the art of crypto, or yeah? What is your channel? It should be like Pro Analyst Langstrom. Yeah. Okay, no, it's different. I just found it. Yep, that's our JR. um, yeah, sure. Uh, Let me see if I can find it. Channels, browse channels. Da, All right, let me paste it in here. Right there. Yeah. Uh, right now I trade crypto, some U.S. stocks, so like Tesla, and I have dabbled in gold and silver. The reason specifically as to why it's just those and not necessarily forex is more of a time to effort ratio deal. So for context, I'll actually a lot of the other guys here know already, but I did get into to trading seriously because I wanted to support myself, and because of that, I've basically developed a a strategy that involves being able to just outlast markets even if I'm in drawdown. So because of that, time to effort ratio is a lot less. Well, I spend less time and less effort and like get more from it. So there's that less time more. I should probably change that term. But in any case, I just get more for less time is what I'm saying. So that's why I specifically just trade uh, crypto, some U.S. stocks, and precious metals right now. You know, with crypto, with leverage and whatnot, waking up to a 5% move is almost like a foregone conclusion, right? But then trying to get a 5% move on something like forex is kind of difficult. Uh, my nephew-in-law is actually a forex broker, so I'm able to see like his work and whatnot, and moving 2% is already a crazy day for them, right? But here 2% is like what happens in an hour, right? If probably not, BTC is not the best example, but if I draw the oh no, yeah, uh, this move is like a 2% move, just all in an hour, and for them it's like uh 3 days worth of price action. Yeah, but I do put signals of whatever's in Blofin. So if there's like a tokenized stock, or for example gold like XAUT, which is on Blofin, then I'll also post about it. So I have given signals for gold and silver. I think I've also maybe made like one US stock signal, but primarily 96%, 97% is going to be strictly cryptocurrency, and usually just the top 50 because they're a little bit more stable, and I don't like to give a lot of shit coins. I think Pippin's the only shit coin that I've really like given out a signal for. And actually, you know what? Let's check out our old friend Pippin, because surprisingly Pippin has such a high win rate whenever I give signals about it, which is crazy. Well, it looks like shit. Yeah, I found his channel, and that's the JR I know. But I'm glad, you know. Fantastic. Gonna what you gonna put notifications on? Yeah. Okay, so not exactly a great place to look, so I'm gonna ignore that right now. Let's go back to lower time frames here on Bitcoin. So bullish div, 5 minutes, reversal triangle, a double bottom on your MVP ribbon. You are losing trend strength. Excuse me. You are losing bearish trend strength on the 1 hour, but note that your 1 hour momentum is still kind of wanting to go down. So the possibility of going back to 73, it's likely within the next hour or so. But let's actually review what happened to our fundamentals while this drop occurred. So I don't think there's going to be a massive change in our fear and greed. Still at 13. Uh, I should have left this on the 1 day, but we should have seen a wipeout on. Okay, interesting. So there are like people are now entering leverage longs and shorts at the same time. There is a higher imbalance to the upside, but then the chunk of the clusters are closer to the downside. So we can see, or we'll probably go down to 71 tonight, or this morning, or within the day, for those who live in the Western Hemisphere. Looking at your 7 day, you could be seeing a move back to 75 and maybe higher because of the fact that while these clusters are more appetizing, you technically are closer to these guys first. And if you go to these guys, then uh, average retail behavior will then aim to just just ape into leverage longs and then cycle repeats. 30 day, yeah, looks like again the my key projection is about 69K for BTC before it really truly bottoms out. But up until then, we will see just playing around the 70K region. Even just getting up back to 77, you can see so many people shorted from 77. Going to the 90 day, same thing. Lots of people shorting from 77, so there is an incentive to just go there real quick. And how many billions is this? Get $1 billion for free, basically. 180 day, same thing. 77's pretty decent place, and then of course you just have bigger incentive to go up. So let's go back to the 1 day liquidation heat map. Let's go to the 24 hour. Let's raise this to 0.85, the default. Yeah, hotspot is at 77. Again, let's refresh that. Yep, 77. I don't think the hotspot has changed for. Yeah, 77. So looks like we will go to 77 eventually. Maybe within the next 24 hours. It does look like 77's a key area. Which, if we go to the chart, 77 does look like the neckline of a potential really odd double bottom, right? If you go here, it does look like this is your resistance. You found a bottom here. You tried breaking, but you failed. You go back to the bottom, and now you're over here. And to be fair, 76781 was your 618, so you could be using this as a nice little bottom, and then you could go back here, see if you break above this resistance, then you go here, see if you can break above this resistance. Then now you have the reactors to deal with and an FVG at that point. So Bitcoin's got a lot of resistance, but it is what it is. In terms of support, again, you have this trend line that's headed to the downside. Discount zone and previous day lows at 72. So if we lose 72, then we're going to 69. Let me look at chat. What is this website? $1 billion for free. Yeah, basically. I mean, if you're a market maker, you just need like a couple, like a little bit of injections and then push the market up. Yeah. Yeah. So, French Sailor. I like to combine my analysis with fundamentals as well. So technicals, of course, chart primes taking care of that. So it's great for like entries, being accurate about it, and uh, candles reflect sentiment, right? It tells you where there was buying pressure, where there was selling pressure. But I think fundamentals are also useful because it tells you where liquidity lies and whether or not the market is irrational or rational. So right now, as you saw, there's not a lot of liquidation to the downside. Literally, we were describing earlier that if you go down to 73K, you're only going to liquidate about $800 million. Whereas if you go up to, I don't know, if you go down to six, what did I say earlier? 74. I'll just pull up the thing again. Yeah, so if you go down to 60K, you only liquidate about 600 million. So if you drop $14,000 right now, you'll liquidate just 651 million. But if you go up $14,000, you'll liquidate 909 you'll liquidate $1 billion. So would you rather go down and just get uh a 600 million or go up and get 1 billion? But then market makers obviously also need price to go down so that they can accumulate. So, it is what it is. 69 or 63. Yeah, could be. Absolutely. So, I'd recommend just saving coin glass, and if you also want, like, I guess an idea for how I calculate leverage, I have a video pinned to my channel. It's a YouTube and Google Drive video, so just pick your poison. They're the same video, and I kind of go over my calculator, how I do it, and sort of my mindset going into trades. But yeah. All right, so we still have about 50 minutes on the show. I'll just quickly turn off my AC because it is way too cold. But yeah, okay, that's good. All right, back to the charts. Yeah, that is not good. Never mind, that is not good. From afar, it kind of looked good, but then not good. We are getting a bearish cross. So, for those who are new here, again, I use my reactors as moving average, where the quantum reactor is my long moving average, and the dynamic reactor is my short. So if the short one's going below the long one, then that looks like a duck or a bird. Let me just draw eyes. There you go. Perfection. We can probably draw a body. Yeah, look at that. Oh, art. Okay. Kidding aside, when you have your reactors like this, that's a bearish cross. So you are likely to get more downside until price action revisits your reactors and tells you otherwise. Now, it's really not looking fantastic. Initially, this could have been a nice recovery if you didn't like curve and then break to the downside. But it's not looking that fantastic. Granted, it's only been an hour since market open, so we will see a little bit more as we go into the day, and of course I'll keep you guys posted if I spot anything. Actually, I'm curious, how many of you guys are holding any coins? Just like spot holding. Because for me, I'm holding a little bit of Bitcoin, so I'm planning to do like a spot DCA soon. Really? Probably, yeah, probably the smart move. I mean, I was framing. I mean, Runair and I was framing shorts toward the end of the year. Mm. Though I will argue, just holding a little bit of BTC's pretty good, right? Especially if you can get it at these lows. If it goes even lower, just get like point zero 0.01, right? Just even just 1% of BTC would be fantastic. Yeah. If it goes to 50K, I'm going all in. Really? Interesting. I should probably read up on that because it's the first time hearing of it. Okay, I see. I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah. Because it's a self fulfilling prophecy. Well, when people see these predictions, yeah, influences behavior. Yeah, we've just been chopping. I mean, this is where we started on the show, the point of control, right? Literally at 10. This is where we were at. And now we're just here again. And that's sort of been a trend with our coins lately, is that we just sort of return to where we started even just an hour down the road. Okay, let's see who's here. That's a lot. BCH. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, guys. Relax. Everything's over so well. Thank you, I guess. Do you want to go through all of that? I don't know. Uh, let's see. Link, Ave, Trump, Sui, XRP, Algo, Solana, Doge, ADA, Pengu, Dot, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and Arkham. Okay. Out of all of those, I kind of want to look at Link. So let's go have a look at Link. It's been a while. It still doesn't look that good. What was another one? Ada? Oh, hold on. Alright, so the question for gold. Do we bounce here or do we continue to the downside? Let's go 15 minutes, change this to an hour. Actually, let's do 5 instead. Yeah, guess I was right. Should have shorted gold. But let's see what happens. Looking for maybe a bottom on the CPO plus and then see what the MVP ribbon's looking like. But if this happens, it'll probably do I'll probably come back just a little bit onto. Actually, where's this trend line from? Oh, that's just a drawing. Okay. But yeah, I'll probably come back to retest, and then we can take it short, do a trend following strategy. Okay, go back to here. T.P. It looks exactly the same. This was a long time ago. Yeah. At least we got BE on that. 0.26 XRP. So 49.50, so 90% is going to be about 45%. So 1.3 could be potential entry for XRP. Just set alerts right here. Ooh, Bitcoin's falling even more. How are you doing? Alright. Okay. Just had to fix some settings. Uh, hmm. Gold's continuing to fall. Could not. I think we closed below this. Everything's bearish. We're not gonna get anything clear at the moment. Although I don't want to see what the 1 hour looks like after. Oh, hey Mula71, Mr. Man, and Slav, welcome to the show. Right now we're just trying to determine whether Bitcoin wants to go below the last low at 73 or if it's gonna try and stay above. Though 69K is on the table. Do you have a high leverage 1 minute scalping strategy? Uh, I don't really scalp on the 1 minute because the 1 minute can get a little too noisy in my opinion. So for example, if I drop to the 1 minute, uh, you can see that this is really just a lot of chopping. Then again, yeah, like for example, this is just chop, 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 chop. So it's really difficult necessarily to scalp the 1 minute, but my general rule of thumb is uh, figuring out points of like reversal. For me, those are the more likely to assist you if you're going to try and scalp the 1 minute. You want to have a higher time frame bias, like let's say the 1 hour. So for example, at this point in time, we're looking at actually no, we should look at this area. So we should go back to about earlier this morning at 2 a.m. Do you enable magnet on Bravo Kit? Uh, I enable it for higher time frames, so like 1 hour and up. I don't really trust. Uh, yeah, I don't really trust the chick magnets on anything lower than the 1 hour. So let's go back to 2 a.m. So it's probably gonna be here. Okay. So you can see here, right, 1 minute at the 1 hour. At this point in time, so starting around here, we started getting sort of this oversold diamond trend shift and money flow divergence. Now, the fact of the matter is, it's not a guarantee that if you had entered here, because let's be real, you wouldn't have known this bullish divergence until you headed down, right? We would have only gotten, say, the oversold, the diamond trend shift, and the money flow divergence at this point. So you probably want to put your stop loss a little bit on the higher side, or you want to be a little bit conservative with your stop loss. Conservative is not the right term. You want to be a little bit generous with your stop loss because you're dealing with the 1 minute, and the 1 minute's just a little noisy. So you are going to have to deal with this. And of course, it's easy in hindsight, but that's not the case here. So another thing you want to look at is just the general proximity of your reactors. So for me, these are my moving averages. Mr. Man, I do believe you have. Uh, do you have pro? Do you have the plus plan? I know your lifetime, but do you have access to the plus plan by any chance, or is it just the pro lifetime? How do I enable magnet? Yeah, it's on the. If you sign up with Bravo and you have the whale kit, you should have that. Yeah, but yeah. I guess you wouldn't have your quantum reactor then, just the dynamic reactor. So you want to look for just the general proximity. How close is your dynamic reactor to price action? Because the closer it is, then the more likely you are to break above it. But let's say you enter here because you had 3 points of confluence, the diamond trend shift, money flow div oversold, so you enter around this area, and you can see you do end up following it. Your dynamic reactor does react dynamically to it. So yeah, again, I would avoid trading the 1 minute because of how noisy it is. I think 5 minutes is ideal. But if you do want to trade the 1 minute, then do so with discretion and a generous stop loss. Yeah. Yeah. So the indicator that I use for the whale kit, I'm not entirely sure how you get this because it kind of just asks to have it, but yeah. Yeah. What I will say is our previous day low is kind of holding, right? I mean, we did break below it here, but we are rejecting off it. So I draw the line here, about here on the 1 hour. Hmm. Kind of want to see if we can form a double bottom and head back up from here. Now not a lot of things look that great. Ooh, Zek is at the 200-day moving average and it's about to fall off it. Could, master. Bullish div. But yeah, I think being risk off for a while might be the most prudent decision we can make. Oh, okay. So we ended up tapping the resistance, but it seems like we'll only close below the dynamic reactor above previous day low. We could possibly continue down, fill part of the wick, because the 1 hour says that you could have a little bit more downside, right? The magnitude of your MVP ribbon's only building up. Uh, bullish div already played out, upward reversal. Did get a double bottom on the MVP ribbon, but you know, topping candle, but man, okay, yeah, not looking that great for Bitcoin. We need some sort of candle that basically tells or signals a potential reversal if we want to see any upside. So let's wait for the 1 hour to close. Uh, if it closes with even just like a small green body, then potentially that could be a nice reversal. But if it closes like this, I'd expect a drop back down to 72.8. Which indicator gives me bull bear strength? It's this one, trend classifier. So, yeah. I just switched the colors around and then I turned off because it has like a moving average thing. I turned that off. Yeah, by chart prime. So 49 seconds left before the 1 hour close. I don't know if we'll get our slightly small green body candle, but we are getting, what we can see is like a ton of selling pressure, right? But we tried to buy, but we just kept getting rejected. Do you think we have a buy signal at around 73.5? Uh, Potentially, but then I'd wait for more of our time frames to go oversold. Because, for example, here on the 4 hour, I think, yeah, there's still some range for it to go down. And earlier on the 1 hour, what's carrying us down is momentum. So the MVP ribbon tracks momentum, right? So this is direction and like strength relative to the like size of the ribbon, but this is momentum and the magnitude of that momentum. So it looks like we're still going to head down based on momentum. All right, so 1 hour close. Yeah, this is a fairly bearish candle, so I do think we go back down to maybe like 72.9, and then we can like see what happens from there. So we still have 10 minutes on the show. If anyone has any questions or just anything in general, just let me know. Sure. So for my uh, longer time frame ones, I have the whale kit just for the chick magnet and the support and resistance lines here. And for lower time frames, I just don't have the whale kit. But I just keep these guys. And then for the settings, at least for the Oracle Pro Plus, it's just the dynamic and quantum reactor, which I've set to slow. Then for market dynamics, oh wait, I don't enable the order block, so I just enable FVG, market structure, volume profile, and then liquidity analysis. It's really cool. Because I have my prime blocks activated. So the order blocks are more traditional, right? It's based on structure, whereas prime blocks are based more on liquidity. So it's sort of a combination of the two. And what I've found is that in terms of reversal, prime blocks seem to be a little bit more accurate than order blocks. So I think DAG is ready to send the difference. But yeah, that's actually a discussion way back in trading chat. Yeah. So like these right here, don't they remind you of order blocks, right? But these are prime blocks. So yeah, I hope that helps. So it's more tailored to my strategy since I'm more of a contrarian trader in nature. So I'm looking for those reversals rather than aiming for trend following strategies, in which case order blocks would be better. Yeah, exactly. So we are oversold here on the 1 hour. We still have 7 minutes on the show, and at least for the past couple of times, we have just been getting relief when we are oversold. It's pretty natural, but we are in relatively scary territory at the moment. Great, because we're at 73.9. Yeah. Thank you, Dagger, for sending that over. Yeah. So I'll try to get this recording up ASAP, so within the hour. But we still have 6 minutes. We can see like two 5 minute candles form. Alright, looks like we. Damn, we're just really just ranging at the moment. But I'll stay up for another 2 hours just to see how the market's doing. After all, I do have some stuff to do. Oh, my camera's off. Excuse me. But yeah, bearish cross confirmed here on the 5 minutes. We're still on the bearish trend here on the 1 hour. Some upside targets are in place, but then it's not really looking that great. See how gold's doing. So gold's continuing to fall. I guess before we end the show, let's just look at USDT dominance. So USDT dominance. USDT. Yeah, okay. USDT dominance. I said that so many times. But essentially, right, there's a correlation between the performance of cryptocurrencies and the performance of USDT. Because if more people are holding cryptocurrency in the form of USDT and not cryptocurrencies themselves, that means that people don't really have that much confidence to invest in actual cryptos and hold them. So right now we are going overbought here on the 1 day, and we have targets going to the downside. We can see that momentum is what's carrying USDT up, but then our fluid zero line is headed or is relatively high and it's not at the actual zero line. So when we do correct for USDT dominance, it's going to be a pretty big correction, probably back down to the FEG here. But if we're talking extreme moves to the downside, then we're looking at potentially back down to the 200-week moving average, and that will translate to a pump in cryptocurrency. Uh, that said, if we look at our sort of our macro setting, 69.7 seems to be the point at which Bitcoin would probably bounce, but that is yet to be seen. Looking at Bitcoin dominance, it looks like altcoins might start to detach themselves because of the fact that Bitcoin dominance is sort of double topping here, and it's probably wanting to head down. So we'll check in with BTC dominance, but it's not too important right now because of the fact that everything's just following Bitcoin, and we know that the potential for it to drop further would be interesting, and seeing alts really detach themselves, but given the state of the market, I really don't think it's going to do that. So I guess with that said, we have 19 seconds left on the show. We're potentially breaking down this level of support right here at 72k, so set alerts there. It's also possible that we don't break below that level of support and we just find this as our support and bounce off, but at this moment it's really difficult to ascertain whether or not that's the case. But as we continue to drop, I do see max pain as the idea here, right? It just wants to get us into max pain. And you know what? It's working. For a lot of people, this is max pain right here. They've probably been liquidated and they can't recover necessarily, and it looks like we are going to continue to drop. But not all hope's lost. We're going to see what happens at this point. Just set alerts, and if it bounces, then we potentially made a double bottom. If it falls through, then I'll see you guys at 69k. It is now 12:10 at my time, and it's gonna be like what, 11:10 EST. So with that said, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'll keep you guys posted. I'll be up for another 2 hours monitoring the markets, and I'll be here tomorrow. Well, not live, but I'll continue to watch it as the week progresses. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Once again, I am Langestrom. I'll get the recording up as soon as possible. And when it comes to trading, always use a stop loss. So thank you guys so much. See ya.